Hello, everyone. My name is Pam Nacpil, and this is The Moving Truth with Pam. So today will be a first for me. She is my first someone from Belarus interviewee. So without any delay, let me have her introduce herself. Tanya, please.
Hi. So my name is Tatsiana, full name, short version Tanya, as you
Tanya.
already know. Yeah, so I came originally from Belarus
Okay.
and spent there like my childhood, got my degree, like master's there, some work experience, and then 10 years ago, I decided to move to Canada. So you see that I'm not a newcomer, right? I have some
Still relatively new.
immigration
I-
experience, and I wanted to thank you for this opportunity to be here
Oh,
with you
yes.
and share my experience with other people who
Everyone.
consider moving to Canada.
Exactly. And it's lovely how, we can learn so many things from different people. And there's a thread of similarities, but there's also a good number of differences.
Absolutely.
So let's hear your story. 10 years ago, why did you suddenly decide, hey, I'm leaving Belarus and moving to Canada?
To Canada, yeah. So it was an easy choice because I already had a friend, one of my best friends, childhood
see?
friends,
Okay.
who moved to Canada just like 4 years before I moved.
Okay.
So by the time I started to consider, it was like probably 3 years, and she would call me and ask me, do I consider moving to Canada? And not yet. I was busy, there with work. I was running my own business,
Oh, wow.
So I was quite busy, right? So it's not an easy move. And then, at some point, I said, I kind of have limited opportunities there,
Okay.
Belarus, for those who does not know, it's a quite small country in Eastern Europe, right?
Yes.
So we don't have ocean, and it's
It's a landlocked country.
Yes,
right?
it's landlocked.
Okay.
Yeah, we are close to Ukraine, Poland, Russia, right? But we don't have sea. We have beautiful lakes and rivers, but unfortunately no sea, no ocean. And I always dreamed to live by the ocean, so finally my
It's
dream
here.
came true.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started to consider, and I was like, well, Canada is a big country. And
It
big
is.
countries, there's a lot of opportunities, right, for growth. Yeah, so, and at that point, I started there was I started to talk to some people. My friend gave me that immigration consultant. I talked.
Okay. So you had to get an immigration consultant
Oh,
then?
well, just for peace of mind,
Okay.
because it's so difficult to pay from Belarus by credit card, and I knew
Okay.
if something fails and I need to start and I will not get in the cap. So for that reason, I just...
to facilitate easier.
Exactly.
And also because you don't know how to
I
start,
just
it's
wanted
easier.
to avoid those risks.
We did the
right?
same, so-
Because it was much faster.
Okay.
So first time when I kind of was considering, and they didn't have my profession on the list.
Oh,
I was
wow.
considering Federal Skilled Workers Program. My profession was not there, and caps were all full. So they offered me to come on work visa, something to work at Tim Hortons, and
Oh, you did?
to come by myself. No, I did not.
But what were you doing? You said you were busy. What were you doing in Belarus when all these things were going into your mind? What were you busy with?
With my partner at the time, we were running an IT company.
Okay.
So it was IT services and consulting, right? And I also had my first, my master's degree, it's in financial management.
Wow,
So I spent
okay.
2 years in bank, then switched to IT, decided it's better fit for me, and as
You
you
were
know, I'm
very
still in
busy.
IT.
You were very busy. Okay.
Yeah, so and that business took all my time, I cannot say that I had a bad life there, but I didn't have free time at all, It was work 24/7, and I had enough money for my needs,
Okay.
I could travel once per year, south, because I didn't have any more time to travel, right? Because I had to work. So that was exhausting. I wanted something where I can just have a better life-work balance.
So it's not all about the money for you, because most people go to Canada, not most, a lot of people I know come here for, greener pastures, more income and everything. To you, that was different.
For me, it's just my adventurous personality. I like traveling a lot.
Me too.
I like to explore world. And in Belarus, you're limited because you need to get visa everywhere. You want to go to Europe, you need visa. US, you need visa. Canada, everywhere visa, right? There are a couple of countries no visa, but it's very
It's
limited
tiring,
choice.
right?
Exactly. And again, it's money, time to apply for that. And we had at that point, it was again over 10 years ago, we had this economical crisis. It's
Okay.
every 3-4 years. You're
Yes.
there even when you run your own business. You know, you're almost there where you want to be.
Okay.
And then, something happened,
Okay.
you know, another inflation, devaluation, and you're back at the bottom, you know.
You're
the
not in
ladder.
control. You're
Yeah,
not in
so I
control.
decided it will be probably more stable, and I would rather have a normal job here than to run business and with all those risks, you know, in my home
Yes.
country.
So you did not take the job at Tim Hortons. So what
No,
happened?
You know, I
What-
didn't
what
want
did
to
you-
move on my own. I was kind of a bit scared. You know,
Sure.
even though I had only one friend, no relatives, right? That one friend, and she was busy. She had like 3 kids, husband, so
And
busy
where was
life.
she? Where was she? Where was this friend at in Canada?
In Toronto.
Toronto.
that was
Everyone's in Toronto.
So exactly, and that's why first 3 years I actually spent in Toronto.
Okay,
you know,
because she
we were
was there.
considering, yeah. So I ended up kind of refusing that offer to work at Tim Hortons by myself for 6 months, and then maybe invite my husband if I
Okay.
like it, right?
Okay.
So I said, either we go all together. I mean, like as a family, we didn't have
Yes.
kids yet, or I'm just like
No.
I'm not coming at all,
Okay.
right? And then, but if you're really dedicated, if you have a goal, you will get there, right? So we, like next year, like after I considered,
Okay.
there was another opening, there was Nova
Oh.
Scotia provincial program.
Okay.
And we were considering that, you know, I started to prepare documents to pass my IELTS, you know, had pretty good score. And once I collected everything, they reached cap and closed the program. so
So it wasn't an easy.
it was not easy, right?
It's
But
an easy
I had
path for
a
you.
line of some weird coincidences, and lucky for me, like literally in 3 to 5 days, they opened last stream of federal skilled workers program for that year.
Okay.
Because next year they replaced with express entry. Now you
Okay.
probably know that
Oh,
express entry.
so now
so it was
before-
the very last stream, and they doubled professions list. Instead of
Oh.
25, it was 50. And that profession that I was willing to apply to,
Okay.
like with Nova Scotia, it was on the list for federal program. So the
Wow.
only thing that I had to confirm my master's, because I had to physically send the diploma degree to Canada, get it certified with WES, you know, assessed and get it back. So it took me another month.
Okay.
But in the end, because I already had a good score at IELTS. I had
Yeah.
7.5, I think, and
Okay.
it was enough for federal program.
Okay.
So I applied in June of 2014,
Okay.
and I got visa in April 2015.
Oh, it
And
wasn't
in June 2015, we were already in Canada. So this month is 10 years.
10 years.
It's my
We're
anniversary here, like 10 years in Canada, yeah.
we're 7 years is June. So yeah, so it's nice. So okay, so you went to Nova Scotia first.
No. So because they closed it, as I said, they closed that program,
Okay.
right? And they opened federal skilled workers. So
And you
for
had a
me,
choice
I
where
had
to
a
go.
choice where to go.
Okay.
But for me, it was quite easy choice because I had just one friend in Canada and she was in Ontario,
Toronto,
Toronto.
okay.
So we landed in Toronto, got our PRs, and spent there, yes, 3
3 years.
But, well, busy life, you know. It was good until we had a baby. You know,
Okay.
when my daughter was born, I understood that I cannot, like, live that lifestyle
Busy
anymore.
lifestyle.
Yeah, we had a house, you know, which was 75 kilometers one way from work.
Wow.
So imagine
75
yes, because the house was in Barrie, it's in suburb in Toronto,
Okay.
right? And work was in Toronto, Greater Toronto.
Yeah.
North. So imagine I had to go back to work from maternity leave when my baby was just 10 months old. And how I would drive with her 150 kilometers every day.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
is it like where to take daycare? If I take it in
Yeah.
Barrie, I will be late all the time, right?
Yeah.
Even in Toronto, my baby will be traveling with me 150 kilometers.
Oh my goodness.
So that was like we had to change completely everything. We sold the house. We made the decision to sell because I understood that we cannot maintain all the bills and house
Oh,
with just
wow,
one
yeah.
salary.
Yeah.
So we both need to work, right?
Yeah.
So we sold the house, and first plan was actually to go back to Toronto, closer to work, and maybe
Okay.
as a buy tiny condo, you know, prices in
Yes.
Toronto. That's why we bought so far, right?
And adjust.
As a tiny condo, or maybe rent for a little bit
Yeah,
until
yeah.
she grows till daycare age, like
Wow.
normal age. And then we decided to take a summer break, you know, for vacation. Our friends had a house,
Okay.
and like vacant house in Northern Ontario. And they
Okay.
welcomed us. You can stay there because our closing was in June. So we had a couple of months, I think 3 months till
To stay
my
with them.
maternity leave.
Okay.
Yeah, so we went there temporary for just like a summer, basically vacation.
Yes, yes.
Right, and then while staying there, we're like, okay, we're in the middle of nowhere. Let's go to the ocean. And
Okay.
at many times, you know, a year before when I was already pregnant with my daughter, We came on vacation too many times.
Okay,
New
which part of the
Brunswick-
Maritimes?
New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI.
So you
We
went
did
all around.
10 days, 9, 10 days.
Okay.
And we did that circle. It was quite intense, but I really enjoyed. I did love nature here. It was beautiful, but I didn't consider moving here at that. But I was like, it's really nice. And then when we were like in Northern Ontario, like all bitten by mosquitoes, it was a nice
We have
place.
mosquitoes here too,
But
right?
it was like woods, literally in the middle of nowhere, but very nice place. So we said, let's go to the ocean just for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
right? And because we already sold our house, right,
Yeah,
we had
you
some
had-
money on the account. So I started to look like,
Look
okay,
around.
what's the real estate look like here, market, right? And I was like, look at that, the house is like really cheap. Well, compared
Compared to
Toronto price,
Ontario,
right?
yes.
And at this point, actually, you could still find houses like around $100,000. You cannot
Wow.
anymore, but
Not anymore.
7 years ago, you could.
Yes, you
right?
could. You could.
So
And that
I'm-
was the time it was still not.
Yeah, so we
Speaking.
came for 2 weeks, we rented something Airbnb. We came and like from first day we started to look for houses.
Wow.
On second day we found a house and we bought a house.
On the second day.
On second day of our vacation east, we bought a house in Memramcook.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay,
And
we
you
bought a
haven't-
house.
You haven't decided to move yet, right?
No, I mean, at that point, choice was obvious, right? We
well,
got
you bought a house.
And we both didn't have work because I was on maternity leave. He had that long time kind of break, like for like summer break, basically paternal leave, And we both without work. And we bought a house, and now we need to move. So that was funny situation,
It's like buying candy for you. That's it.
My friends, they all laugh when I tell them, it cannot be true. I said, well, that's how I moved to New Brunswick, if you ask me.
Okay, guys, this might not work right now for you. So take a vacation, second day buy a house. Okay, that sounds very nice.
Yeah, but-
so it was just like that, the decision because you wanted to be by the ocean,
but
slower pace of life.
You know what? I applied actually. So I cannot say so I didn't plan anything. While being there, like I planned vacation, right? It was in July. And I applied for a couple of openings. There was not too many in New Brunswick.
That
maybe
time.
like 3, 4 in total. I applied
Okay.
for all of them. And then, but it's slow here, right? So
Yeah, it's
of course,
different.
when we bought house, I didn't hear back on any of them yet. But when I said, okay, now we need to go back, like when our vacation ended, and pack everything.
Yes.
And move. So that's what I was doing. We finished vacation. We drove all the way back because it was driving
Because
for
you
us
have
with
a
the baby.
house in New Brunswick.
Started to pack, and then when I got my first call, and it was a call from IGT where I still
wow.
work,
So you've been in IGT for 7 years?
Yes. I started in September because my maternity leave was actually till end of September, but I started like mid-September, probably 1 week earlier than.
So it was just like fate for you to be here. I mean, it's just
Exactly. That's what I say, It's just like if you believe, in higher forces or something, that it was predetermined for me to move to
Yeah.
New Brunswick. Because honestly, it was easy like that. I got a call from HR. She said, oh, good, are you in Ontario? I was there because I still have Ontario phone
Yeah.
number. I said, well, I'm still in Ontario, but I'm packing, ready to move.
because I bought a house.
And she said, okay, so in 2 days, here's like with basically she called on Friday. On Monday, I had an interview, like Skype interview
Yeah.
with my that previous manager where
Yes.
I worked. And then he said, okay, when you're here, come for a second interview in person, which I did. And then next morning, I had an offer. But we agreed that I will start a bit later because we were still waiting for all this
your stuff
the
and-
moving truck to deliver our stuff. We were camping in our bedroom because we didn't have any furniture. We bought an air mattress and a tent, and that's what we did.
Okay. It seemed very easy, Tanya. I mean, it looks very easy, but how was it? How did it feel doing that? Because it's not easy to move from your one single friend
Yeah, I
away
know.
from her.
I still
and
think I'm a little bit crazy, with all this. It's just, again, my adventurous nature, it's never enough for me. I need to explore something new. And like once I lived in Toronto, I said, I'm fine, with baby. Life in Toronto only good when you are as a single or child-free,
Yeah.
just starting your life, your career. It's good, you have fun, you have many opportunities for career development. But once you get a baby, then you start, I cannot do
yeah.
it, traffic jams everywhere.
75.
I like to
kilometers?
visit 75 kilometers,
wow.
It took us, so on early Sunday or Saturday morning, it would take you 45 minutes, like 45. But on a regular weekday at this rush hour, it literally could take you 2 hours. If it's snowstorm, 2.5, one way.
I know what you mean because we used to take 21 kilometers and it took us 2 hours also. Back home, traffic in Manila was exciting. Exciting.
Yeah.
Much like Toronto.
I couldn't believe in New Brunswick, just to compare. My first day, I drove there by 9 and I was 20 minutes. I live 30 kilometers away in Cook, right? From work.
Then you're there.
It took me 20 minutes. I said, well, it's probably because it's 9 a.m., right? So tomorrow I will go by 8 something and it will be like harder.
Yeah.
So I probably left like 40 minutes in advance. It still took me 20 minutes. I came 20 minutes before.
Google Maps does not lie in New Brunswick. But say, how was it when you moved? I know you moved, you were excited, starting a new life, bought a house, have a new job, but how did it feel like being not with your people?
Well,
like
it wasn't so easy and exciting. It sounds like that it's more about my journey to New Brunswick, how it's easy. But in Toronto, it was challenging. And you really need to come prepared, right? So when we just came, I read a lot of, forums, and people sharing experience like us here. And I decided, okay, I need something, even though I have master's degree from back home and experience, I need something, some paper from Belarus. So I decided to study when I just arrived. So I took, my English was okay, it was not bad, but I was missing a bit on some terminology.
Okay.
So I didn't take that English as second language. I took ELT, it's Enhanced Language Training in Finance and Accounting.
Oh, wow.
Because that was the stream I moved on, because of my master's degree.
Yeah.
I came here with that profession. And I decided, okay, like I was in IT, I would really like to work again in IT, but I came as financial auditor and accountant, so maybe I need to consider back to accounting, right? So I took, in parallel with that enhanced language training, I took as course from Toronto College on computerized accounting.
Okay.
So, and it was a short course, like very intense one. So it took me like around 3 months to finish.
And you were preparing. So you were preparing for the future.
But I also worked part-time. I had one type of survival job because I didn't want to spend all my savings
on that.
Because we were considering buying a house, right? So if I didn't work, we would just spend all savings and there was nothing for down payment.
It seems so nice and exciting when you say it, but it's really, you were doing several things at the same time. You were juggling.
Exhausted. I slept like 4-5 hours per night, but you know what? I would soothe myself that it's temporary. So I had a plan, right? 3 months I'm studying and working, and like not the best job, but whatever pays my bills, right? So I think any job respected, and it was good because I had the opportunity to talk to people, to improve my English, to make new friends, and maybe even consider career opportunities. But once I was done with studying, I found a real job. And at that point, I worked as an accountant for a big truck company.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was more like closer to my professional skill set, but really not what I wanted, right? Because I was always spoiled by IT, I loved IT field and running my own business, like with my partner, it felt very nice, right?
Yeah.
So like you're impacting the world, right? With it working in IT.
Yeah, and it is really still the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so now that you've settled here in New Brunswick, what do you miss most about home? Do you get to go home often?
Well, I miss my family. I miss my friends, right? It's more people I miss too. Like Belarus is a small, beautiful country, but I'm not really attached to one place because it's my nature, right? I like to explorer, I like to explore world.
Yeah.
So, but people, that's what I miss the
So
most,
no one from your family came to Canada to live here?
No, unfortunately not. Yeah,
they're
so
still there?
Yeah, they're still there. Like my parents were there, now just dead, and my sister with her family. So I'm trying to come visit at least, every couple of years. But yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work. When my baby was born, it's so hard. She only saw her grandparents when she was 1.5 years old first time.
Then you must make a trip, or they can come here.
No, we had to go. They were considering, but there was like many difficulties. My mom was sick. My dad was running his own business.
So it's not easy to.
It was not easy, If they were retired, nothing to do and still in good
Health.
health, they would definitely come to visit.
So what you miss most is the people, your family.
People, my family, yeah. I miss it my own business sometimes, right? But I'm in my happy place here right now.
You are. You look like you
I
are.
have much better life-work balance because when you run your own business, you always stress. You go on vacation on that 1 week south, and you're on your phone, SMS calls, these huge bills, after phone bills after vacation. So you are always stressed. So once you have kids, like husband, it's really hard.
You wanna have a breathe.
I was almost joking when I moved to New Brunswick. I just came here for my retirement because I already worked so hard and so much in my life. Sometimes
so this is
3 jobs at a time,
So this is kind of retirement for us. You're right. Sometimes that's a perspective we need because of the slower pace and the nature around us. We
And
can
here it's
actually
much slower than in Toronto.
Exactly. We can actually call it semi-retired. I never thought about it that way. So that's a good
how
input
I
for
called
me.
it, right? Because when I said I got like my word said, I'm not going to work several jobs like in Canada, right? I'm going to settle down with one good work, stick to it, and have my life outside of work.
You have it planned. What advice would you give people to, thinking of moving? What is it that they need to do?
Well, I think, first of all, consider motto. I still have that motto. It's a Latin saying, per aspera ad astra, which means through hardship to the stars. Literally means that one can only achieve greatness through overcoming some difficulties. So this is our immigrant's path, right? So nobody promises that it will be easy. It will not be easy. And you need to come prepared. So my 2 advices, study English or French, right? Study language and save money. Because
save money.
You will need it here. First months when you need to settle down, money just flies away so fast.
So fast.
Very fast, yes. That's why I was doing that part-time job because I look like everything is expensive, right?
Yeah.
In our countries it's cheaper, but salary is much cheaper too, right? But here there are many expenses, especially when you need to buy everything. You're starting from scratch.
And you don't know anything?
English will help, or French if you consider Quebec, right? Okay. But in my case, I'm happy that I already had English base. I'm happy that I came prepared and had some savings. It really helped.
Okay. Would you do this over again? This moving, this thing that
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, I would do it again and again.
And again and again and again.
Yes.
But what's your biggest regret? I don't know if we should end with that, but what's your biggest regret about moving?
About moving? Well, it's not regret, I just I regret that I couldn't come visit my family more often, right? To talk more to my parents. And unfortunately, my mom is not with us anymore, right? And I just really was so busy. Sometimes I didn't even have time to talk to her even on phone, I had 5 minutes there, 10 minutes there. We used Viber, video calls, but still it's not the same.
It's not the same.
But we make our choices, right? We cannot be with parents
all the time.
And some people do, but not everyone, unfortunately. So this is my biggest regret, that it's just time we have different priorities, right?
But I'm sure your mom loves that you have settled in, that you are enjoying your life and everything. Tanya, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It seems like your story is so fun and exciting. I know there were challenges.
They're real stories, I didn't make up.
But the great thing is you seem to you embraced it all. You enjoyed every process of your journey. So I guess...
I do. And it's really great province to live in. Some people, they don't understand. They tend to like those big cities like Montreal, Toronto, but it's very busy cities. It's not for life with family. Here, you can actually live with your family, raise your family, take care of your kids, have that balance that you're missing in big city.
I totally get you. So for those, we're promoting New Brunswick. So for
Absolutely. Everyone come here.
Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate the time. Thank you for
so
being
much.
with me today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So with that, we'll see you at the next The Moving Truth with Pam. Bye for now.